You're radiating a TV presence right now. I can see it on my monitor here. John Sotomayor is in the studio. It's time now for Ocala Magazine Radio. John is the executive editor of Ocala Magazine, and he's got a lot of guests today, so I'm going to let him take it from here. Good morning, John. How you doing?
Good morning, Larry. It's good to be here. And yes, we have a full house of guests here. We're going to talk about the feature story in our February issue. It was the bridal. It was the bridal issue called My Big Fat Ocala Wedding. And what we did is we took a fun look at local trademarks combined with the latest universal trends for a unique Ocala experience wedding. And I have a group of guests who's going to talk about different topics on weddings. I'll introduce them. We have Rondo Fernandez, owner of Mojo Grill and Catering. Lori Wilson, owner of Lori Wilson Photography. Our returning guest, Kelly Hart, a former owner and current consultant for Lily's Flowers, Dawn Lovell, design consultant for Party Time Rentals, and Robin Fannin, wedding planner and special events coordinator, Holiday Inn Suites and Convention Center. Welcome all of you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
We're going to start with Rondo. Since Rondo, you have an upcoming wedding coming up. Tell us about the wedding and your plans.
It's a little different planning your own wedding for sure. It's a lot more nerve-wracking. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna take a lot from my heritage. You know, I'm Cuban American, so we're gonna just do a straight, authentic, you know, Latin menu and and music and decorations and stuff. So it's exciting to have all my family come up and be a part of it.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're not worried about the food, since that's what you specialize in. Tell us a little bit about the latest wedding trends on catering.
The latest wedding trends are, you know, with the economy kind of taking a downturn, is trying to get the biggest bang for your buck. You know, taking, you know, for instance, you know, usually cheaper cuts of meat and making it seem a little bit nicer, you know, try to fit the budgets of the bride. You know, trying to get the most for the least is more of the wedding trends. We do a lot of stations. You know, a lot of stations are fun. Like, for instance, you know, for Rustic, we're doing like a fried pickle station, you know, for appetizers, and boiled peanuts, and then turn it into a shrimp and goat station, and different little things, you know, stuff that you don't see everywhere. You know, the days of chicken marsala and chicken parmesan are kind of over, you know.
Sounds like a very authentic Floridian Ocalan wedding.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Great. And how about mini foods? That was very popular.
Yeah, it still is, and that kind of goes with the stations too. You know, when people just want to go around and just try little bits of everything instead of just coming through and just getting one big plate of food. You know, it helps out with being social. You know, with the guests mingling and stuff, you get to go try different things, and you keep moving instead of, you know, being stuffed up in there and doing the kind of the old school thing.
Right.
I love the little containers that you use, the little boats.
Yeah.
And you have this set up on your different stations. You can come, pick it up, grab it, walk around.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what about the cake? I know everybody's dying to know about the cake.
My wife is taking care of the cake. It's been kind of tough because there's so many great bakers here in town, and we work with so many of them. You know, we work with Betty Cakes, we work with Stella's, you know, we work with Cakes by Lisa, Pam Greenwell, you know, and they've all kind of wanted to do our cake. So what we're doing is kind of getting a little. We're going to just get a smaller cake, and we're going to get a little bit from everybody, you know, and kind of have everybody represented there.
Excellent. So you decided to go with all local vendors? And
you have to go with local vendors.
Excellent.
That's important. They support us. We do a lot of work together, so we go with them.
Excellent. All right, I want to talk to Kelly now. Kelly, could you tell us about the latest trends on flowers and what you recommend?
Is this going to reach?
Really
okay,
work,
great.
Yeah, work that microphone.
Okay.
We'll work with you.
Okay. Well, some of the trends this year are a lot different than last year. You know, last year was all about the bling, Swarovski crystals, and all kinds of sparkly things mixed in with bouquets, boutonnieres, and centerpieces. This year, the bling is being replaced with metallics and pearls. So, not to say you have to necessarily leave out the bling, but the pearls and the lace and some of the more romantic feel is replacing that like over-the-top wow feel. And likewise, the bouquets, where they used to be very tight and bunchy, have started to cascade more and more, like back when, you know, like our moms were married and they had that big long cascade. That is coming back and is becoming a really popular trend, even amongst bridesmaids, and not just the bride. And we're also seeing the peony, which is, we talked about last week, I remember, peony, which is my very favorite flower. Although it's only available 2 months out of the year, it's this year's wedding flower. So for people that plan around those types of things, will be able to get that, and if not, a garden rose is an acceptable replacement. But just think pastels and romance, and I think that's a pretty classic, trendy theme for this year.
Excellent. Now, did you cover Flower Girl?
Flower girls, yes. Traditionally the flower girls just toss petals, but I'm seeing more and more brides opting for smaller bouquets. A lot of churches, church weddings are becoming more popular again, and a lot of churches aren't allowing for petals on the floor just because of possible stain and possible mess. So I'm seeing a lot more flower girls carrying small little tiny bouquets.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about the centerpieces? Did you cover that?
Centerpieces, there's such a variety. I mean, it really is going to have to work around your theme, but centerpieces are getting lower and lower, and rather than having that one tall centerpiece in the center, what I'm seeing are brides that want to do little vignettes throughout the table or long garlands across the table, which with greenery and a lot of the assembly process that we do, it's really easy to obtain a flower garland that stretches across the entire table.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. I see a lot of people agreeing with you here. Everybody's nodding their heads.
That's good. That's good.
So let's turn to the ladies, Dawn and Robin. I want to ask them about design and decor. We'll start with Robin. You told me something a little earlier. I want you to focus on that.
Well, I just want to say that this is a very appropriate day to have a discussion about weddings and wedding planning, because there's probably hundreds of brides in Ocala right now that are looking down at their left hand who got engaged last night. It's the most popular day of the year to become engaged. So congratulations to all of you out there.
Yes, that's right. Excellent. And what would you define as a custom-made wedding for that big fat Ocala wedding experience?
Well, for an indoor venue, I think first of all the most important thing is have a very clear vision, have a clear idea what your vision is, what going into it. Start early, start planning early, know your budget, and prioritize. Know what your priorities are. So if flowers are your thing, concentrate a lot on that. If music is important to you, concentrate on that. If food is your thing, then do that. Of course, you want all the elements to come together and be one fabulous event, but know what your likes and dislikes are. That's for sure.
Okay, great, thanks. And Dawn, the same question. What would define a custom-made wedding?
Personalization. I mean, we are seeing that over and over again, and it's elements from the get-go. I mean, it's the start when the guests arrive to the very end when they go home, if there's a favor that people leave with. I mean, it's very customized and personalized. And I think one of the best parts about that is the fact that you truly can create something that's unique. It's not the cookie-cutter wedding that you saw last week, and it's, just done again this week. So I encourage people to continue to do that. But when you are doing that, think about if you're going to do something different or stretch a little bit out there, think about 20 years from now. Are you going to look back at those pictures and say, what was I thinking? Or are you going to say, this looks great?
Great. And I wanted to add that both Robin and Dawn had contributed to the feature story. You can see exactly what she's talking about on page 17, custom wedding details and setting the stage. So thanks, Dawn. What would you advise for the couple who wants a rustic outdoor wedding?
Ocala is known for its just beautiful oak trees and rolling hills, and we have so many incredible places here. There's simply just chairs lined up underneath a beautiful oak tree is absolutely stunning. And you don't even really have to add too much more back to it. So you can keep that as something as consider it budget conscious, if you will, or you can add to that. Lots of texture still. I mean, still the crystal mixed in with the wood. That continues to be a big trend. And again, Ocala lends itself very well to that.
Great. And Robin, would you add to that?
The rustic
the
wedding?
Rustic.
Well, I would definitely defer to Dawn with that, because that's her specialty, because she has some really unique items that she uses in her planning, like using logs as chairs, but it is a trend. I think it's definitely the organic and natural thing is really very popular right now. So I would say call Dawn.
Okay.
I do want to add a little bit back to that because it plays back in to what we were talking about earlier with flowers, is that the trend has been rustic country, and now we're seeing it go rustic romantic.
Oh, okay.
So there's the rustic that's mixed in with the lace and the pearls. So that's kind of how that's morphing a little bit.
A little bit more fairy tale, maybe? A little Snow White?
Correct. More, definitely more feminine.
Okay, great. And now switching gears, what would you advise to the couple who wants a full high-end indoor wedding? The whole traditional shebang.
Call us all. we can do that.
What are the latest trends?
Go ahead, Robin.
I would say, going back to what I said before, there's so many publications out there and on the internet and to read about and get a clear vision of what you want to do, and there's so much availability on and help in that direction, not only from us as professionals, but you can do it on your own, and there's so many things that you can do to make it just as beautiful as you want it to be. Weddings, you can spend as little or as much as you want on weddings. They can be, you can do it, to meet your budget, or you can just blow it out. But I would say, try to stay focused and rely on professionals and rely on what's out there at your disposal.
Excellent. Dawn, anything to add?
Did you specifically ask about how to create the high-end look, or the trend that's now?
How to create the high-end look?
The biggest thing that I tell my brides or my clients just in general is that when your guests walk in, they need to see something wow. So you need to make sure their first experience, wherever they go, that typically will be their lasting memory. So really make sure you focus and look at your space and walk in and go, I have to put something grand here. You don't have to smear it around and do little tchotchkes everywhere. I'd rather see you put your dollars together and go big.
Excellent.
And that's why we keep people out of the main room, all through the cocktail period and through the ceremony, so that when they do walk into the room and they get that initial wow reaction, that's very important.
Excellent. And speaking of wow, let's talk about the dress.
Oh,
wow. Robin and I were joking around about that earlier today. Go ahead, Robin.
My feeling is that you need to definitely work with your body type, accentuate the positive and camouflage the negative. Don't necessarily go by what you see in a magazine or trends. Do what's right for your figure.
And if you think about it, the bridal stores are going to carry current items and current dresses, so you can find something that fits with what you do. The Roaring 20s, we're seeing a little bit of that. Flapper style error. Not every figure can fit in that. So don't try to do something that you're not going to look great in.
Yes, and we talk about those on page 17 and 18 of the feature, so thank you very much.
And also, don't forget the details. The jewelry, the shoes, the hair, it all comes into play. It creates a total look.
Now let's talk about the details. A lot of people want to know about the do-it-yourself. What would you advise on people who want to do some things themselves?
I think there's so many sources out on the internet right now. What I would encourage you to do, though, is to take the pictures that you look at and that you really like and duplicate them. Don't try and go crazy and vary things and go to all the little specialty stores around and pick up every little tchotchke that you can and spread it everywhere. Really, like Robin said, fine-tune what you like and what's really important. And if you do that and do it consistently, you'll really come out with a beautiful event.
Great. Rondo, you have something to add?
Yeah, just as far as the food aspect, we're finding a lot more people want to do it themselves, or Uncle Billy's gonna cook the food or something like that. And I kind of warn against it. I catered my first wedding, by myself, so I went straight from being sweaty to putting my bow tie on and getting up, and probably the worst thing I've ever done. If you do decide to do it by yourself, I would at least consult a caterer to find out, maybe they'll help you. I'll help you sit down and say, make sure you guys have this, make sure you have that, just to make sure that it goes over right. I think if you're going to do it by yourself, you definitely have to ask an expert,
right.
for what to do and how to make it go over right. If not, you're almost guaranteed for something to go wrong. Whether you're going to run out of food, or the food quality is cold, or you don't know how to hold it properly.
Things you didn't think about.
How to serve
an
it.
Expert would know.
Yeah, you have to. If you can do it by yourself, consult an expert for sure.
Okay, cool.
John, can I add something about do-it-yourself flowers?
Sure.
Because I have a lot of brides during the initial consultation that will say, well, we're going to do, this. We're just really kind of exploring options. And when you're dealing with a perishable item, because a lot of brides will go and buy the fresh flowers at market, and once you've cut them, they're cut. Once you've sprayed them, they're sprayed. Once you've taped them. So if you do make a mistake, there's the potential for error, and now you're having to spend even more money replacing, buying new, the stress of searching, So it's flower design is not as simple as just cutting and plopping in a vase when it comes to weddings. So really think that through, and the supplies and everything necessary to make it as perfect as you'd want it before being a do-it-yourselfer.
Okay, excellent. And this other question is open to everybody as well. What about the finishing touches? And I know that's a loaded question, so let's just focus on some of the more important finishing touches to a wedding.
I think Dawn touched on it before about personalizing your wedding. But one way you can do it is with your party favors. If you choose to do that, but you can do anything from a framed picture of you or your fiance, or there's a lot of different things, but that's a nice touch to add to the table. It's not just Jordan almonds anymore.
Great. Anyone else? Finishing touch?
Yeah, we're doing for my wedding. There's a neat little place downtown called Corkscrew that just opened up.
Yes.
And you can bottle your own wine. So we did a green apple Riesling with our picture on it, our engagement picture, and our label on there. And I just think it's a neat idea. It's local and it's super affordable. Yeah. It's like $150 for like 30 bottles or
and
something.
And talk about personalizing your wedding.
Yeah, super personalizing, and everybody can take it home with them. And the product is really good. The wine's really good.
Well, one thing we did with this feature is we personalized it as much as we could. Our advice columnist panel, Dawn, Robin, and also Ana Maria Soler, had recommended that we use authentic photos and not stock, which many other wedding things will do. So we painstakingly talked to a bunch of different wedding photographers in town, the best we have to offer, and we have one here, Lori Wilson. We used your photograph almost extensively in the feature.
You did.
Yes. So tell us, what are some of the things that a couple should look for in a wedding photographer?
Oh gosh, I think the first thing I would recommend is that when you're looking at a portfolio, whether it's on the internet, on their website, or just on Facebook, look for consistency. Make sure that you're looking through all of their photos, you're looking through the detail shots, the reception shots, the wedding shots, just to make sure that your photographer knows how to handle all of the lighting scenarios and not just the pretty outdoor photos. It's really going to make a difference in the make it or break it moments when you have to capture a moment and it happens in just a second. Probably the second most important thing would be to meet with your photographer face-to-face before the wedding. Don't just find them online, book them, and call it a day. I would sit down with them. If not, shoot an engagement session. That's a good way to get to know your photographer, their shooting style, and just get a feel for how the wedding is going to go. You know what to expect as far as their direction and their posing styles.
Excellent. So what are some of the things that you look for when you're there to capture the couple's special day?
Oh gosh, I would say I'm looking for their personal style. I really want to paint a pretty good picture of who the couple is, and I look for the details that I know that they've spent time creating. And I want to make sure that I capture that along with the emotion of their guests at the reception. I think that's a very important part of it, just painting the whole picture.
Okay, cool. Now, the reason why we selected your photography above all is because to us it was the most authentic for Ocala, and the one that really jumped out at us was the one we used for the opener on page 14. It was the bride and groom holding onto a horseshoe.
Right.
Both of them holding onto it, looks like for luck.
Right.
So tell us about that particular photo and the wedding and the backstory behind it.
Okay, actually, that was quite a spontaneous shot. I would love to give you a romantic backstory, but really it happened after the wedding. We were doing the formal shots, and we were just, making our way around the grounds of the church, and we just happened to come across the horseshoe, and of course, the horseshoe is the international symbol for good luck. And we thought, what a cute shot, kind of to incorporate into there, and it's very Ocala. It's very, very ties into the horse community.
Horse capital of the world.
So we thought it would be cute to put in the collection. So
Excellent.
That's really that.
And what can you tell us about the happy couple?
Oh, the happy couple just had their first baby together. Wow. They are actually married a year and a half ago, and just in wedded bliss.
Great. And it was Where in Ocala? Do you remember?
Gosh, what was the church name here? That was the Citrus Springs Church of God in Ocala.
Excellent. And the other photo that jumped out at us was the one we used for the clothes.
Yes.
This was a golf cart with beer cans tied to the back and just married on the windshield. Tell us about that.
That shot, actually, this was an Ocala couple who chose to have a destination wedding. They took their wedding to Highlands, North Carolina, and that shot, I felt, was just great for the couple because they're quirky, they're funny, and it's a little play on the traditional send-off where it might be a limo or a car. So we thought that was a nice shot.
Excellent. Can you share a little bit more on some of the other weddings, some fun moments of them?
Gosh, some fun moments. One of my favorite shots that you featured here was the couple blowing the glitter.
Yes.
This is something that's kind of all over Pinterest. You'll see a lot of brides requesting this shot. I thought that was just a fun farewell photo for the couple. I think they used that for some of their thank you cards. But just a fun couple. This was shot in a rustic covered bridge. Actually, that was an Ocala couple shot in Jacksonville, Florida. So. Okay,
great. There was one other photo I loved in there. We didn't use it, but it was them in the barn where they're pretty much embraced.
They are.
It's a great photo.
They are. Yeah, it was a very passionate moment that we captured, and the groom was very happy to have that photo. Yeah.
I believe it. Do we have any other advice from the panel on things that they may have thought of after the fact they want to add for their particular category? Rondo?
I think it's not just with the caterer. I think it was everybody, every professional. It's really important that you click with whoever you're working for. If we refer another professional, I usually refer 2 to 3 of the same field, just because you might click with one DJ and not click with the other DJ. But if you don't have a comfortable, if you don't feel like they're a friend by the time you're done working with them, then they're probably not who you should be using on your wedding, and you might want to look for somebody else for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
That is true. Let me add something. I tell my brides, with photography, you really want to make sure that you click, like Rondo was saying, with that vendor, because especially with photography, I will be in your face all day, and you really want to make sure that it's not going to be abrasive, that you're going to feel comfortable with my personality style. So, yes. Cool. I agree with that.
And we didn't have a music person here, although Rondo, you have a good friend. Can anybody speak on behalf of music, the trends in music?
Yeah, and you kind of ought to. There's so many different varieties of music. You can go live music, you can go a full band, you can do so many different genres, and you can also do DJ as well. It's really important to figure out what kind of wedding you want and fit it. Meet the right. If you don't, like I said, you have to click with the DJ.
Right.
The DJ is one of the most important people. They make your wedding go long. I've been places where the bride goes, "Okay, can we cut the cake yet?" Or you don't need that. The DJ and the master of ceremonies is the director of the wedding, really. So it's really important, that you click with that person and that you find exactly they have the kind of music you want. If you're Latin, you have to have the Spanish music and stuff like that. You have to make sure they can fit exactly what your needs are.
Cool.
I would like to echo that. I think DJs are important. Live music is great and it's a lot of fun, but I always find that they can fall short on the emceeing and the directing of the flow of the wedding, and DJs can really accomplish that.
That's
so
very true.
if you're going to do one, if you're going to get one and go that route, make sure it's somebody that you can really work with. And remember that it's just as important to tell them what not to play as it is to tell them what to play.
Great. And one other thing that came up in our research when we were talking together, and then I did more research about it, was virtual weddings. What's going on with technology is that we're getting more and more in touch with people that live further away. A lot of people in Ocala have family from other parts in the country or other parts in the world, but they can't make it, either for financial reasons or just, physical reasons or whatever. So people are turning to technology. Can someone share on that aspect if they apply that to their wedding? Planning?
We did a wedding, golly, it's probably been at least a year ago, and they had a lot of the family from South America, so they streamed live down to South America.
That's great.
And it was on the internet, and they had people that were up north also that could see them, and it was I don't know, it was just a very interesting concept, and it was neat because not everybody can come or travel, or they were sick or elderly, and they can still feel a part of that.
Yeah, one of the things that I've found, and the stories we shared, was that people are in the military away, away, so they can't see their sister or brother get married, so it's a way of sharing with them. Or they have elderly parents or grandparents living somewhere else, they can't get there. So it's a way to connect. And people are using more and more social media, as we all know, Larry. So they're connecting with the video and then putting it on social media to get connected as well. So very cool. Cool idea for anybody planning a wedding right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it looks like we're close on the end of our time. Does anybody have anything they want to share in closing?
I think what I want to do is just for brides that are just engaged and they're just starting, I think it can be an overwhelming sense of anxiety and pressure. And I think one of the first things they need to do is sit down and come up with a very realistic budget and then divide that budget up according to their priorities as far as what's more important to them. That way, when they do go and they meet all the professionals that they're going to work with, they can right up front say, here's kind of what we're looking at and what we can afford, and find somebody creative that can give them a quality product for that price.
Okay, excellent. Thank you to all my guests for today's show. That's pretty much our time. Thank you to you, Larry, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
ABC News Now. I'm Daniela Bellotta. Exhausted passengers forced to spend 5 days on a filthy cruise ship are now on dry land and recounting their nightmare odyssey aboard Carnival's Triumph, which lost power in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. A meteor exploded in the sky above Russia, blowing up